The first few boring chapters of Elbaf revealed way more than you might think. It was clear from the start that they were small foreshadowings for the whole Elbaf arc, and maybe even a little more, but until now there weren't really enough dots to connect. But now everything is clear, and I'm going to reveal all the hidden little hints. In these chapters, we saw Rode as the fake sun god and his three subordinates, a rabbit, a crow, and a giant snake. There was also a giant cat that the Straw Hats managed to tame, and in the end, this cat was the one who helped them escape. And before they escaped, Nami attacked Rode with her lightning attack. But before I show you all the parallels, let's talk about the most important part, the fake sun god. It's strange that there are two different concepts of Nika. One is the version Who's Who describes, who has a sword and a spear. The other appears in Elbaf, where they aren't even sure whether Nika is a warrior of liberation or destruction, and this version carries a shield instead of a spear. But the weapon difference isn't the biggest clue. Nika could potentially have a sword, a shield, and a spear. The biggest clue is the difference between these two depictions. In both, we see Nika wielding a sword and a shield, but they are completely different. The shields are different and they are held on opposite sides. The swords are also different and they're held in opposite hands. One version has clouds over his shoulders while the other does not. There is no way such important details are mistakes. This was intentional. And why is Nika fighting the god of war at all? Both figures seem to be highly respected in Elbaf, so why would they be fighting each other? Because this second Nika is a completely different character. People have been saying that the god of destruction is the true awakened form of Nika, or that it represents Gear 5 when Luffy loses control and the Zoan fruit takes over. But I'm sure that's not true. For 28 years, Oda has never made Luffy kill anyone, not even once. Luffy is the embodiment of pure kindness and liberation. A second Nika, a destroyer of worlds, is clearly a different character. In this video, I'll call him the fake Nika because the real Nika is Joy Boy. The real Nika is Luffy, the god of liberation. I'm convinced that this fake Nika is connected to Imu, and that either Imu can transform into him or has a body he can use to manipulate people by appearing as Nika. Maybe that body is the national treasure of Marijua, and that's why Doflamingo mentioned that it's rotting. This isn't just a random idea, there are hints pointing toward this, and it all starts with Gunko. We know that Gunko fears Nika, but she hasn't lived in his era, so where does that fear come from? It's possible that this idea was planted in her, that she was taught Nika was the villain. That's how irrational hatred towards certain people or symbols is created, but in a flashback we saw that she was just a child when Brook was already an adult. If she had grown up hearing terrifying legends about Nika, then Brook would know about them too. We've never seen Brook mention Nika in any way. It could have happened after she left the kingdom and joined the Holy Knights, or during the destruction of her land, and I believe it's the second one. Otherwise it doesn't make sense, right? Gunko doesn't seem like the real Kingslayer. There must be someone else who killed her father and framed her. That's what Brook believes, at least. And if that's true, and it most likely is, then why would Gunko be more afraid of Nika, someone she has never seen, than of the person who killed her father, unless they're the same person? Why would the biggest hero of the world turn into her greatest fear if that's not connected to the death of her father? So maybe what Oda was really foreshadowing is that she actually feared Imu was in Nika's body, caused chaos in her kingdom, and possibly even possessed her using his powers. The fake Nika was the one who killed Gunko's father. It's not a coincidence that Gunko has yet to see Luffy in his Gear 5 form. Maybe when that finally happens, she'll realize something, especially if she pays attention to one very interesting detail. The nightmare Nika created by killing him has the exact same belt as Imu. And not just the belt. Let's compare these two shields. The shield of the kind Nika seems logical. We've seen this symbol associated with Nika many times, during Skypiea, during Fishman Island, during Alabasta, and even in Kuma's flashback. It still hasn't been fully explained, but it's clear that the symbol of 8 small circles surrounding one big circle is connected to Nika. Now let's look at the shield of the bad Nika. The design of this shield looks more like a pentagram, the same kind of symbol Imu uses when attacking. It also closely resembles the flag of the world government. I wouldn't be surprised if Oda actually used the body or image of Nika to either manipulate people or give Nika a bad reputation, because we've seen something very similar happen in One Piece before, and not just once. In Alabasta, Crocodile made himself appear as a savior. Publicly, he's protected the kingdom from pirates, and the people saw him as a trusted hero. But in reality, he led a secret criminal organization and orchestrated a civil war while manipulating both sides. His ultimate plan was to step in as the hero once again and take the throne. The same thing happened with Doflamingo. He didn't simply take the throne by force like Enel or Kaido. Instead, he confronted King Riku Doldo III using his string powers to control the king's body and forced him to attack and kill his own citizens. This instantly destroyed the people's trust in their ruler. Then Doflamingo, who stopped the massacre as a false hero, became the king of the country. Imu is like Doflamingo. I believe Imu used the same tactics to become the true king and to make people hate Nika or even Davy Jones. There are actually many parallels between Imu and Doflamingo. Doflamingo controlled Dressrosa through deception and violence, acting as a false ruler, while Imu sits upon the empty throne as the hidden true ruler of the world. Doflamingo used his parasite ability to physically control people, while Imu's power appears to be a more transcendental version, controlling people through covenants, fear, and Domi Reversi. Doflamingo created the 16 holy bullets to attack Dressrosa, mirroring the 16 beams of energy Imu used to destroy Lelucia. Doflamingo used Sugar's ability to turn people into toys, erasing them from memory. Similarly, Imu wipes out entire islands and erases them from history, ensuring the world forgets they ever existed. Both characters operate from the shadows, Doflamingo as a former celestial dragon, and Imu as the supreme ruler above them all. And one of the clearest parallels is visual, a specific manga panel showing Doflamingo as a child sitting on a pile of rubble, and Imu's first introduction before the Five Elders are composed in a very similar way. Also, don't forget that at God Valley, Rox, who knew many of the world's secrets and possibly understood what happened during the Void Century, or at least knew the history of Davy Jones, called Imu the Rat King and claimed that Davy Jones was the true king. All of these hints make me believe that Imu is a false ruler, someone who became king through lies and deception. That deception likely included using the image of Nika, either to manipulate people or to give Nika a bad reputation, just like Doflamingo did with King Riku. Maybe it's even how Don Quixote Doflamingo got inspired. He knew this story and used it for himself to become the king of the country. He also knew about the national treasure of Marijua. He knew it was a body and that it was slowly rotting. That's why Doflamingo needed the Ope Ope no Mi in the first place. This is a devil fruit that operates on human bodies, and its ultimate ability is immortality. If the national treasure really is a body, then Doflamingo didn't want this fruit for curing people, he wanted to use the national treasure. And the fight we saw between Nika and the warrior god in Elbaf could be another attempt by Imu to gain the military power of that nation. That's why the two greatest figures of Elbaf were fighting each other. All three, Nika, the god of war, and Ragnir, represented in the current timeline by Luffy, Loki, and Loki's hammer, seem kind. So why would they fight each other? And why would they have fought each other 800 years ago or even before that? That's why I believe it was the fake Nika, Imu. The mural is also confusing. Loki and Imu both appeared twice. On the left-hand side, the giant monster holding the Mother Flame is clearly Imu, and the ancient giant seems to parallel Loki. We also see Joy Boy there. On the right side, we see Imu in his current form and Nidhogg, Loki's devil fruit. But there is no Joy Boy or Nika present. For now, it's unclear what Oda is hinting at, but I think it's connected to all of this. Also, if the popular theory that Imu loved Lily is true, then maybe Imu stole Joy Boy's body to resemble him and tried to win her love that way. Imu could have used the Ope Ope no Mi to take Joy Boy's body. That would mean the silhouette we see is actually Imu inside Joy Boy, and what Oda is hinting might be a face very similar to Luffy's. That could explain why we were shown Imu's true form before we fully understand what's really going on with that silhouette. It might be a bit far-fetched, but it's still an interesting possibility worth considering. Now let's go back to the beginning of Elbaf. Road, the fake sun god, represents Imu, the fake Nika. His three subordinates, a crow, a snake, and a rabbit, might represent Shamrock, Killingham, and Summers, Imu's subordinates. The rabbit dying could parallel Shamrock leaving soon. And the giant cat who helped the Straw Hats escape might represent Gunko, a character who clearly has a kind heart but has been manipulated by Imu. She has strong connections to Brook, and I believe that after Gunko sees the real sun god and Imu's true form, she will have a change of heart and help the Straw Hats escape. Of course, Imu will punish her for this, and in the final war, one of the side stories could be Brook trying to save Gunko. Another possibility is that the giant cat represents Loki due to its size, and that Loki will be the one to carry the Straw Hats away. But I prefer the first option. And as I mentioned earlier, before the Straw Hats escaped, Nami attacked Road with her lightning attack. Of course, Road survived, it wasn't a fatal blow. Oda likely did this for a reason. I believe that at the end of this arc, Loki and Luffy with their lightning-related powers, and possibly Nami with Zeus as well, will attack Imu before escaping. And this isn't just because of Road. Lightning has always been connected to Imu. Goro Awaze is the art of Japanese number-based wordplay. For example, Luffy is associated with the number 56 because his devil fruit was the Gomu Gomu no Mi, where Go equals 5 and Mu equals 6. Imu, on the other hand, can be read as 16, where E equals 1 and Mu equals 6. And if we look at the 16th tarot card, we find the Tower, which also happens to be the title of Chapter 1029. Chapter 1029 features Kid and Killer's fight against Big Mom and Hawkins, respectively. During the battle, Hawkins draws a card to represent the outcome, and it is tarot card number 16, the Tower. According to the narrator, this card signifies great change and a complete upheaval of the established order. I believe that Imu, along with the red line, represent the tower of the One Piece world. Even his silhouette resembles one, and in his latest appearance he's shown standing atop a tower. Looking at the tarot card itself, the tower is struck by lightning, and I believe that eventually this is how Imu will fall. Not in Elbaf, of course, but later. Lightning is a recurring motif in One Piece. We see it in the eyes of Zebek, in the skies after God Valley, in Gear 5 Luffy's abilities, and even back in Chapter 100 when Luffy was about to be executed on the platform. Lightning also connects directly to the storms brought by the D clan, and of course to Enel, who serves as another clear parallel to Imu. In conclusion, there are two Nikas. One is real, Luffy, the god of liberation, and the other is being used by Imu as a weapon. Oda has been hinting at this since Egghead, and after Imu's reveal, I'm confident in this idea. That's it for today. Let me know what you think about this theory down in the comments, and if you want to see more about Imu and his powers, click the video right here. Thanks for watching. Bye.